G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and this is part 2 of the review. So if you haven't seen part 1, go check that out now. This is the Epi 210X. Alright, let's jump into it. Rightio, so here we are for part 2, and I've got a couple of surprises to show you. So in part 1 we checked out this awesome Epiquad 210X frame, and now we're going to look at some of the other special things that I got from Epiquad that I intend to put in it. So very quickly, before we jump into them, we're going to be looking at this awesome Epi PDB and the Epi Rex, which is like a special receiver, an S-Bus receiver designed for this specific PDB. And I've got an A's here, but that's just for demonstration purposes. Alright, let's keep going. So, time for a close look at the Epi PDB, and don't worry, yes, there is some surprises I promised as well coming. Alright, now this thing can take from 2S up to 7S, so if you're a little bit insane, you can definitely pump the voltages up right there. And it is designed for the Epiquad 210 and also the 180, and it's interchangeable between the two, so if you've got both those frames, you can switch this in between the two and you don't have to worry about if it's going to fit or anything like that. Now, like any PDBs nowadays, it's got some places for your ESCs, for your motors and things like that. So I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4, but if you have a look, you've also got some space for 5 and 6. So if for some reason you did want to put this on a different hex or something like that, you can also run up to 6 motors from this little PDB. So we've got a buzzer just here, which is brilliant in case you're going to lose your model or something like that. And then we've got a couple of ports across the top of the board that I'm going to talk about. So these ones just here, these ones at the front, you've sort of got your VBAT and where it says VCAM. Now, at the moment, this is set up just to run off whatever battery I hook up. So if I hook up a 3-cell LiPo to this thing, that's the voltage that's going to come out the front. You've got a regulated 5-volt at the front just here and a ground. And then these last two little ports here, that's if you want to run, see where it says 5 VTX, that's if you want to run in some voltage straight from your VTX or something into here to power your camera. Like I know the Omways and stuff have a voltage out, you can actually run those into these little ports just here. Now there's this little port at the front just here of the PDB, and this is actually a little sort of, I guess, quick swap VTX sort of idea, and the guys over at Epiquad sell this cable, I think it's like $1 or $2 or something like that, and that's designed so you can easily plug in your VTX and take off your top plate and things like that. So if you want to use this, you need to buy a special cable from those guys. I don't know the name of the cable, but it's definitely on their website, and I'll leave a link to that down below. At the back just here we've got some neat little connections, and that's for your receiver, so you've got some PPM and S-Bus and things like that, as well as 5 volts and also a ground, so that's great if you want to attach your receiver there, but we're not going to need to worry about that because we're going to be talking about the Epi Rex in a minute. You've got your programmable LED strips, and that's set up just here, and that's great. I really like how that's pushed towards the back too, because if anybody's going to run LEDs, usually they run them on the back, so I think that's a brilliant little addition. And you also have the option just here, this is for your voltage regulatory little polulu if you want to put that in, but you don't need to because it's got a little jumper just here if you don't want to put one of those in, and you're not going to be running one of those. So I'm not going to be running one on my board, but it's nice that you have the option. Now you're going to notice a few holes in this PDB, and you've got these ones just here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is in your standard sort of nays or standard 36 by 36 sort of size, and that's made for a very specific reason, and that's so you can mount these little things directly on top like that, so your flight controller, and it's going to fit perfectly over this PDB. And you've also got the same at the back, you can mount the Epi Rex, is designed to fit perfectly on top of this PDB, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. Now here's where things start to get really interesting, and it's mainly about the profile of this build. So this one is made, you can run this on a Rev 5 or a Rev 6 nays at the moment, and what it does, it will fit directly on top of that. I've got it around the wrong way, there we go. And what it does, once it's all lined up, you get all your pin headers lined up perfectly in here, and allows your nays to simply fit into the top. So it's going to be fantastic, it's going to look super clean and super slick, and I'll cut to some shots just here. You can see it inside the Epiquad, and you can see it looks brilliantly. Now if we look at these ports, these ones just here, this is the ones that run to your motors and things like that, and here's all about your sort of receiver connections, and they're across just here. And at the back just here, this connects up to your nays on the Rev 6, and it's things like your telemetry, your VBAT, and what else is at the back there, and also your buzzer and stuff like that. So this brings me to my first little surprise, and I'm very sorry to say that I don't actually have it on me, so I was a little bit devastated, but it's going to be coming in a few months, but I can still talk about it, I think, a little bit just here, hopefully anyway. Hope they don't mind too much over at Epiquads, but because this is designed to take a Rev 6 naze, and that fits perfectly across there, but this is only sort of the first gen flight controllers, what they have done, Epiquads have designed their own F3 flight controller that is going to fit perfectly over the top of this, and it's going to be the exact same pin layout across here, so it will fit perfectly in here, so you'll be able to use this with a F3 flight controller, which I think is fantastic. So that'll be a big step up from the naze. I did hope to have one of these, but it looks like it might be another month before I can get my hands on one of those, so I wanted to bring you the video early, but that was one of the surprises that I did have planned, but unfortunately I haven't got my hands on one of the F3 flight controllers just yet, but it's alright, because we're still going to build the thing, and because of its awesome sort of modular design, when that F3 flight controller does get here from Epiquads, I'll be able to just pop this off and put the F3 on, and we should be ready to rock and roll. Now this is something I really think that makes Epiquads great, is as well as when you buy the PDB, you actually get a whole bunch of little accessories that come with it, and you're going to need this to put the PDB together. So you've got your nylon and plastic sort of screws and things like that, as well as some little standoffs that you can put in, and they even give you an XT60 and a tiny little bit of cable as well to put on just here. And I think that's a nice little touch, because a lot of first time builders, they're not going to have these things lying around just like that. So great job Epiquads. I really like how you include these things for sort of these new builders. And here we are looking at the EpiRex. And that's a pretty cool little name, the EpiRex. I really like, instead of saying EpiRX or Epi Receiver, I like the EpiRex. Maybe just reminds me of a dog or something like that. Anyway, Stu, let's get on with the review. So this is an S-Bus receiver, which is fantastic. So the best thing about this, well, there's two things that I absolutely love about this. Number one, look how easy it is to install a receiver into your PDB so it hooks up to your flight controller. All I'm going to do, it just slides in just like that, and we're ready to go. So that is it. There is no soldering, nothing like that. That is how easy it is to put this receiver into your PDB. And look how clean that is. I mean, that is fantastic. This is going to be the sleekest build you have ever seen. And if you want to take it out, it is just as easy to slide it out, but not so loose that it's going to fall out. So that fits perfectly in there. Now, it's super easy to sort of bind. All you've got to do is plug it in, push this button just here, this little bind button, and that's going to set it into bind mode. So super, super easy. It has one antenna running off just here. So if you're used to using a D4R2 or something like that, those ones have diversity. This one actually doesn't have diversity. So this is just one antenna. So I'm going to be interested to see how that goes. And probably the thing I am most excited about this, you can bind this straight to your Tyrannus without needing any extra modules or anything like that. So it is compatible with the FreeSky radios, and I think that is fantastic because I definitely want to keep using my Tyrannus and I don't have to buy extra modules and things like that. So I think that's great that the guys have sort of discovered how to make that work with the Tyrannus, and I think that's definitely a massive plus in my opinion on this little receiver. Alrighty, so one cool little thing about the EpiRex, and that is you can use it with the Rev 5 or Rev 6 naze or the flight control that's going to come from Epiquads, but often a lot of times when people using S-Bus on the Rev 5, they had to invert the signal, and all you need to do on this one, now just here there's just a little part you need to bridge and solder together, a little sort of jumper pad, and that's going to invert the signal if you are using a Rev 5. So it makes it really simple to use this with either flight controller. All you need to do is just short that little pad just there, that little jumper pad. Now both of these can take a huge variety of voltages from 2S up to 6S I think for the EpiRex and 7S for the PDB, and I think that is one of the big surprises I was excited about. So I guess the big surprise about this build, and someone actually guessed it in the comments, they were guessing at the cell ratings and things like that of one of the last videos, is I'm going to build this. I found these batteries online. They weren't too bad and they're in Australia, so they were shipped here pretty quick. So I bought myself two of these, and these are some 5S lipos. Now I don't know how it's going to go. I could end up blowing my ESCs or things like that, but I thought awesome little batteries. This is going to be such a clean, light build, so we should make an absolute rocket of a quad and at least see how it goes. Anyway, so that's my big surprise, that as well as the flight control that I can't wait to show you guys coming soon, is running it on a little bit on 5S and seeing how it goes. Most of the time I'll probably fly it on 4S, but it's going to be fun or disastrous, depending on how we look at it. Either way, to make good footage, but running it on 5S. Alright, so let's have a look at what these things look like when it's actually inside the frame. Alright, and here it is all installed, and check this thing out. So, look how small that profile is. That is it. If you wanted to fly with no FPV, this would be ready to go. So that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, just look at this thing. I think a big part of this hobby, everyone likes to have the coolest looking rig and things like that, but imagine whipping this out at some FPV meet and showing everybody how clean your stack is. I mean, that looks awesome. I can't wait to show some of the boys this craft. You have so much space. The only thing I need to put in here is my camera and my VTX, and we would be ready to rock and roll. So this thing is going to be extremely light. Let's see how much it weighs with all this in here. I haven't put the HD camera on, so I'm going to leave that off for the moment. And let's see what we have. Turn this bad boy on. Alright, so with the flight controller, PDB, and also your receiver, it's coming in at 150 grams. So I am super stoked. This is going to be something very, very special. I can't get over how clean that looks. That looks awesome. Alright, so now I guess what's left is for me to actually build this thing and give it a fly. And I'll fly it on 4S and 5S and report back to you guys. And I'm going to have a link somewhere just here. You can actually follow the build if you want to build a 5S monster just like one of these bad boys. Anyway, so let's put it together and then get you some flight footage. Alright, so here it is all finished, and I've got to say this is the best looking build I have ever seen. So well done, Epiquads, with the PDB and the Epirex in the back here. There is so much space in here. It looks beautiful, really. It's a work of art, so great job there. I love how everything is modular and you can take off the flight controller and also take off the receiver so easily, so fantastic job. And the only little bit of soldering I had to do when building this thing was with the FPV wires right there. So absolutely love it. As sleek as can be. The camera mount went in flawlessly. I think that's a great addition, and I'm really glad that they've got some special mounts for the HS117 cameras. In saying things that I wish we could improve a little bit, the only thing that really bugged me was no matter how far I put my VTX forwards, I still needed a little bit a longer room out here, so I had to just bulk my VTX just out the side ever so slightly. It sort of curves around. You can see it, this little part just here, it sort of runs in this loop that way instead of a straight line. So I really wish someone out there would start making like some 2 centimeter or 2.5 centimeter pigtails, because that would make this a lot easier. At the moment I can only find 5 centimeters, so that's probably not the frame's fault. We just need some people to be making some smaller pigtails. Another little thing I can recommend to Epiquads is they give us these bobbles here, and they give us one spare one, but that's not going to really match the angle that I plan to be running this thing at. So if you just included another one, I could put 2 into each other, and we could have a much steeper angle. So for the price of, I guess, one of these little bobbins, you can increase your angle by maybe another 10 or 15 degrees. So definitely please put that in the kit, Epiquads. So there it is, there's my review of Epiquad's 210X, and I've got to hand it to the guys over there. You have done a fantastic job. This is definitely a worthy big brother or a worthy successor of the Epiquad's 180X that I tried. Absolutely love this guy. I think he's definitely a solid performer. Super durable, great X shape, and when you combine this with some of the Epi PDB and also the Epirex, you have a fantastic, definitely first-class machine. So, well done guys over there at Epiquads, and if you're definitely considering getting a 5-inch frame, give this one a look, because it is an absolute killer. And also just look at it. Look how good this thing looks. I can't wait to show this off at the races and things like that. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying! That's me, like doing the rave music, you know. Anyway, happy flying!